Let's get it started with a pair of top tens from the ACC. Clemson and Florida State, third quarter, Taj Boyd for Sammy Watkins, and he hooks up with Andre Ellington, covers 52 and had Clemson up a pair of touchdowns. But Florida State churned out 667 yards of offense, scored 35 second-half points. That's James Wilder in from 5 in the fourth quarter. E.J. Manuel threw for a career-high 380 yards, and post-game he caught up with Heather Dinich.
Clemson's offense was getting a lot of hype, but you guys racked up over 600 yards of total offense. What was the difference for you guys tonight?
It wasn't a huge difference. I think that just the fact that we prepared well, we had a great week of practice, and we knew coming in that those guys were going to put up a lot of points. They have a great defense, a lot of athletes, and a lot of fast guys and smart guys. So we knew we were going to have to come out with our A game, and we did well tonight.
So the Noles are 4-0 for the first time since 2005. Welcome to College Football Final Extra. I'm Jim Basquil. 2002 was the last time Notre Dame began 4-0. Michigan was in the way of that perfect start on Saturday, with the Wolverines having beaten the Irish the last 3 times the two teams played, with a wild finish in all 3 games. ND caused 6 turnovers, forcing Denard Robinson into 4 picks, while Tommy Rees sparked the offense just enough in a 13-6 win. Twice, the Irish held the Wolverines without points from the Notre Dame 10-yard line, with Bennett Jackson coming up with one of his team's 5 interceptions overall. Matt Fortuna caught up with the NDDB postgame.
Denard Robinson's a guy who's obviously had Notre Dame's number in recent years. He had the worst performance of his career tonight, in large part thanks to the Notre Dame defense. What was the key to your success tonight?
I mean, the key was, just go out and do what we do, fly around, be the best, in the nation on that play, which, our guys were doing. They were flying around, and, it got the job done.
So as we mentioned, 2005 was the last time FSU was 4-0. 2002 the last time the Irish won their first 4. Both teams finished those seasons with bowl losses. Florida State wound up going 8-6, while Notre Dame finished 10-3. Mark Schlabach with the national take thinks the Seminoles are further along and have an easier road.
I think if you look at Florida State's schedule for the rest of the season, road games at NC State, road games at Miami, a road game at Virginia Tech, and a home finale against Florida. I think that's certainly manageable. I think with the defense Florida State brought back, and now with quarterback E.J. Manuel putting up points, I think Florida State's got as good of a shot as anybody outside of maybe the top 2 teams in the SEC to get to a BCS championship game. I think it's still way too early to determine whether or not Notre Dame is a legitimate threat. I think Notre Dame's schedule for the rest of the season is even more demanding than the start of the season. Still play road games at Oklahoma and Southern Cal, along with home games against BYU and Stanford. So I think we've still got a lot to learn about the Fighting Irish.
Oregon puts a beat down on Arizona, forcing 5 turnovers, while Marcus Mariota threw for a pair of scores. This one for Braylon Addison, covering 55 yards. 49-0 your final. Pac-10 blogger Ted Miller has the postgame wrap.
What does it feel like as a defensive player to pitch a shutout?
It just feels great. We prepared so hard this week. For any defense to pitch a shutout is just such an accomplishment. It gives you confidence going out for the rest of the games this year that we could do it to any team.
Oklahoma K-State. John Hubert ran for 130 and a touch, and K-State wins in Norman for the first time since '97. David Ubham and Gene Wojciechowski with some post-game perspective.
What does this mean for Kansas State and a team that had so much skepticism coming into the season? Where do you think they sit in the national picture now?
Well, I think there's a lot of voters now, David, who are going, K-State beat OU at OU. You can't ignore it anymore. You can't ignore K-State. This is a game you usually think K-State's going to figure out a way to lose. Instead, they came in here with a lot of confidence and were convinced they were going to win. And now I think it's going to convince enough voters to start paying attention to K-State. They cannot be ignored anymore. They are a player in this national championship race.
Marcus Lattimore ran for a pair of scores, and Connor Shaw threw for a pair. South Carolina remained unbeaten, taking Mizzou 31-10. Lattimore now has a school record with 33 rush touchdowns, while Shaw completed his final 20 passes. Chris Lowe with the Gamecock signal caller postgame.
I know you don't think about it much, but your teammates all say when they see you playing through pain the way you have, that it really sort of rallies them. Do you sense that when you go out there?
I do a little bit, you know, as competitive as I am, and we got a lot of competitors on this team. You know, that's what they feed off of, and I think that's the quarterback's got to be the toughest guy on the field. I've always been taught that. I've always felt that way. So I think they do kind of, you know, it's good to have their support, and they always come up to me and they have my back, so it's always helpful.
A.J. McCarron's 3 scoring strikes helped top-ranked Alabama stay unbeaten against Florida Atlantic. And a safety was the difference for number 2 LSU as the Bayou Bengals stayed unbeaten at Auburn. Check out the Tide and Tigers highlights as well as a host of other games right here on ESPN.com. One last note, Old Dominion's Taylor Heineke threw for a D1 record 730 yards in a 64-61 win over New Hampshire. That'll do it for College Football Final Extra. We hope to have you back next week.